We head on over to the sports studio now and say a very good evening to Mark Seal.
Very good evening. We're going to start with some football, where former FIFA Vice President Austin Jack Warner has been voicing his concerns over the current World Cup qualification setup, which, according to him, is unfair to smaller nations. Warner, who has been implicated in numerous corruption allegations and who is also facing extradition to the United States for criminal prosecution, also took a dig at BFA and CFU President Randy Harris in a rare interview. CBC's Sean Green has more.
Speaking on the TNT televised show entitled Sports Talk, Warner says that he is amazed that some of the countries of the Caribbean have agreed to the proposed change of resorting to the old hex, which he describes as unfair to smaller nations.
Hex which they had contemplated should never have taken place. It was discriminatory. It made the smaller countries and the poorer ones spend more money to qualify, and worse yet, it gave the impression that some countries were greater on the football field than others. On the football field, Andre, 11 players play 11 players. However big you are, you have 11 players. So you can't assume, because you're high and mighty and wealthy, that you are better than Dominica or Aruba, and I wouldn't even say Trinidad and Tobago. You can't assume that. And it was wrong in the first case for them to have ever considered that. I am amazed to read that the Caribbean countries agree to that.
He also criticized the current Caribbean head Randy Harris, suggesting that he has totally neglected the CFU.
Randy Harris has never been a leader. Let me ask you a few questions, Andre. Have you ever heard anything about the CFU Congress? What about the CFU referees? Which games have they taken part in at the World Cup level or CONCACAF level? What about the CFU youth programs? What about the CFU coaching courses? What about these? All those things have been forgotten. There is no longer a CFU. There is a BFU, and possibly not even a BFU, a HFU, a Harris Football Union. But surely there is no longer any CFU. CFU is now dead in the water, thanks to Harris, thanks to CONCACAF, thanks to FIFA, and of course their colleagues in Jamaica. It is the worst period of Caribbean history, football history.
The Trinidadian added what he would like to see for Caribbean football in the near future.
I would like to see, first of all, a united CFU. Not one that's weak, not one that is self-serving. I would like to see a strong CFU, where CFU referees can go to FIFA World Cup and perform, where Jamaican referees, Barbadian or Trinidad, and perform.
Sean Green, CBC Sports.
Well, CFU President Randy Harris says that Warner doesn't have a clue what currently goes on in the CFU. Responding to the accusation that he has ignored the CFU matters and hasn't held a Congress since taking up the helm, Harris says that's simply not true.
I have heard these statements by Mr. Warner, and of course he hasn't a clue about what is going on formally in the CFU. As a matter of fact, on the issue of the format of the World Cup qualifying for this region, we held a meeting last year in October in Miami, a special Congress to deal with that issue, where the principals of CONCACAF were present, and it was a great opportunity for the members of the CFU to bring their side of this issue. And as far as the CFU not having congresses, that is so out of place, because I came before I was president and congresses were being held, and I can assure you that the CFU is even better, a better operation than when Mr. Warner was its president.
Now, staying with football, the United Kingdom government has confirmed that professional sports can resume behind closed doors for broadcast purposes from June 1st after their coronavirus hiatus. As the Football Premier League waits a possible return next month, many questions remain unanswered, from testing regimes to where games will be played.
And Mark is back now with our final look at sports.
Indeed, President of Cricket West Indies, Ricky Skerritt, has given the reassurance that the tour of England will only take place once the regional body is satisfied that the safety of players will not be compromised. One day after Director of Cricket Jamie Adams told CBC Sports that the players' health is paramount, Skerritt says speculation over preconditions for the tour is premature, since both Cricket West Indies and the England and Wales Cricket Board were still at discussion stage, and that he will not agree to the tour unless everything is in place.
Let me just be clear that Cricket West Indies will not be making any decisions that don't make sense under the circumstances. But obviously, unless things change dramatically within the next month or two, it won't be normal circumstances. So the circumstances that prevail and the conditions that are placed will be determined to only be suitable if they're mutually suitable. This is going to have to be a win-win tour in terms of the arrangements.
Now, it was previously reported that if the tour gets the go-ahead, CWI would give the players the option of skipping the series if they are not comfortable, and that such a decision would not be used against them by the selectors in the future. Skerritt, however, says he does not expect anything of the sort.
If, all concerned come to an understanding that this is the best that we can do and this is what we want to do, and then one or two players decide that this is too onerous for them, then that is their prerogative. We're not going to force anybody to go anywhere to play cricket that they don't want to play. Fortunately, we don't expect that. I don't see any reason to believe that anybody is going to be less safe in the UK than they will be at home under the circumstances.
The ECB has set July 8th as the tentative start date for the tour. Staying with cricket, the St. Lucia Zooks have announced the other Caribbean players they will be retaining or signing for the 2020 Hero Caribbean Premier League. Earlier, the Zooks had named Darren Sammy as their skipper, and they also snapped up Chris Gayle after he was released by the Jamaica Talawas. The Zooks have chosen to retain or sign 6 other Caribbean players, including the exciting St. Lucian batsman Kimani Melius as their emerging player. The others are Andrea Fletcher, Kedrick Williams, Obed McCoy, Raheem Cornwall, and Kavem Hodge. Last season, the Zooks just missed out on the playoffs after losing their final preliminary match to eventual winners, the Barbados Tridents. There's still no word yet as to when the 2020 CPL will begin, but it's currently scheduled for August 19th to September 26th.